South African Bureau of Standards works with various laboratories across the country, in amongst others, to test various items on standards and certification. Those responsible for these duties have embarked on an indefinite strike action after efforts to negotiate with the employer at the bargaining forum failed.
They did this organizational redesign and they engineered an outcome where all executives who were on contracts, they became permanent, and essentially making sure that their performance is not assessed like all other executives in other entities. We are saying they need to reverse that. Secondly, they placed workers on a structure that was not fully consulted. Over 200 of these workers who were placed in positions, there was no consultation at all. And if anything, many of them are placed in positions, when you look at it, they have been demoted.
NEHAWU says the SABS has faced a plethora of challenges and was placed under administration in 2018. It says management has been taking decisions outside of the collective bargaining process in violation of the Labour Relations Act. The union is seeking to approach Parliament and the new Minister of Trade, Industry and Competition with the hopes to resolve the current impasse.
SABS, through the intervention of the minister then, Minister Patel, had to go on what we call a restructuring process, which we already know that any organization would always have to go through restructuring in order to meet its own business goals. It cannot be that the employer assigns a service provider to go and look at the restructuring. And once a report has been tabled before the employer, the very same employer who spent monies on appointing the very same service provider refuses to implement the approved pay scales.
The workers say they are worried about issues of job security. Many are hopeful that the employer will soon return to the negotiations.
Since the Section 189, there's been a lot of unfair treatment towards employees. The company morale is very down at this stage, and it seems like management doesn't really care at all.
We are fed up as SABS employees. Party is taking advantage of us. You know what? Everything is just not going the way it's supposed to go. The restructuring is just haywire.
It feels as if management feels as if they've done interns or graduates a favor by absorbing them. You know, they absorb you in, they expect you to perform at a certain level, but then when it comes to remuneration, it becomes a different conversation.
The employer has since reached out for a virtual meeting with the union's leadership, but the gesture was rejected by NEHAWU, with the demand being that of a physical meeting.
The SABS workers vowing to continue with their demonstrations until the management reverses changes to the payment structure. The union's leadership is expected to meet physically here with the employer, this being on Wednesday, with the hopes being that of a bridge to this deadlock. Katla Gologodi, SABC News in Pretoria.